So we do trainings here.
We do.
We do a lot of trainings here.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and you kind of manage them.
As good as I can.
Yeah. Do you like manage them? Be honest.
I do, but I know that it's not my strong suit. If you want me to make friends with everyone, I can do that. But keeping track, there's only so many spreadsheets I can have.
Right. So you're really great with people and you're great with booking the students. So
Yes.
what's your weak point?
My weak point is admin.
At like organizing.
Yes.
Yeah. We've had a couple issues.
Yes, we have. We have.
So
I always make up for it, though.
You do make up for it. You do. And you know what? I know. Yeah. It's your organization. Like, yeah. I mean, and so you have to be really good at that.
Yes, that's a good point. If you want to start a training program, if you are not organized, then you need to find someone who is.
Yeah, and so you're our organizer, and you're not that good at it. So I mean, what are we?
But I do.
Doing? And I have you on here talking about training.
I am a student of the craft of organization, just like you're the student of PMU.
I know. But no, we're working it out. When we're getting a system in place, so it's good. But it's easy. Look, you do have to be organized, right? Because students. Typically, when you start training, you have a 50% deposit. Right. Usually that's how we work, right? You take a 50% deposit and then you have to put them on a spreadsheet and mark that they paid and when they paid and how the payment came in, PayPal, credit, blah, 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 blah. And as each student pays, you put them on a spreadsheet. Right. And, you can forget to put a student on a spreadsheet, right? You can take payment and forget to put a student on the spreadsheet. And then I could walk into class that day and have an extra student. Like, who are you? I don't see you.
So those of you who listen to the sales podcast, I guess I'm just too good at filling up the seats and I always get a few extra, I can't help myself.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yeah.
But leaning into the importance of organization, it is important. And the reason it's important is because these people are expecting a certain level of quality from you. Yeah. And even though you may be a really good artist, they want it to feel like school. Right.
100%.
And school is very organized, right? There's usually, when you go to a school, there's an entire operations team that works on that. And so to be able to have the spreadsheet, to be able to schedule the time, to be able to move forward and make it seem as polished and professional as possible, because they are investing not just in themselves, but they're also investing in you.
Yeah. And I know I'm poking at you a little bit, but you're good, Sarah. But I think no matter how organized you are, and every single person along the years, including myself when I managed my own training, and did my own spreadsheets.
I couldn't imagine you doing that.
We're human, right? You can make mistakes.
Yeah,
you really can. But no, you're good. But you're right. So when a student, I think, so when you decide to be a trainer, first you have to have something valuable to teach. So let's just say it's brows,
right?
Like you're doing really good brows, and people are noticing, and they're reaching out, and so now you have some students. So that would love to take a class for you. So I think, the first thing you have to decide is where are you going to teach this class? Does your studio or where you currently see your clients, will that accommodate the students? How many students do you want? I would say your very first time ever training, I would say no more than 1 or 2. Start out baby steps and get used to being a trainer in a one-on-one or one-on-2 situation, and do that for quite a few classes until you hone your skills, because there are skills when it comes to there's trainer skills, right? Because there's really good trainers out there and there's really bad trainers.
Right.
And just because an artist or a person is an amazing artist, that does not mean they are an amazing trainer.
Right. It's a separate skill set altogether.
It's a separate skill set altogether. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, you can have someone that maybe they're not the best artists out there, but they're one hell of a trainer.
Yeah.
I've encountered that as well.
That's very common, actually, in many industries when it comes to education. Mm-hmm. So my prior career, I worked in IT career education, and a lot of the best teachers actually had no experience in the field, and all of their students would get certified right away. Wow. And so it's interesting that you make that that's an interesting correlation, right? So it could be the same thing in permanent makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and now in our industry, there's a real epidemic of, and it's been going on for quite some time, where, they're an artist maybe a year, and now they're stepping into training because there's money in training. Right. And there's a lot of newbies just, coming into the industry, just flooding the industry.
Right.
Starving for help. And, they see dollar signs. So they step into the training arena before they're skillfully ready, before their skill set is built, developed, and before their training skill set is built and developed. I mean, there's a lot of training classes that are just, put together rather very quickly, to make those training dollars. And so I would say first, if you're ready to train, decide what, I would say keep it to 1 or 2 students. I think that's huge. I mean, I think that's very important, very good advice. That's what I did. And I did that for a couple of years. And then I stepped into a class of 5. It was an eyeliner class down in San Jose. And, but I took those first couple of years doing, one-on-ones and 2-on-ones, just honing my curriculum, right? Honing my curriculum. So once you decide you want to be a trainer, take 1 or 2 students. Usually you can do 1 or 2 students in the space that you're currently using to see your own clients. But now you have to come up with a curriculum.
Yes.
Right? So let's say it's brows. That's what you're going to be teaching. You have to come up with a curriculum.
Right.
Right. So
what are you going to be teaching them for the next few days?
Yeah. How many days is your class going to be? Is it going to be a 2 day? Is it going to be a 3 day? Are you taking newbies, or are these people that are, artists that are already in the industry and, already doing brows, but they're struggling and you're a few levels ahead of them? And so, you got to think about all that stuff. And curriculums are very, very important, because you're right. Training's expensive.
Right.
So what are you going to charge? You have to come up with a fair price that equals your worth and a price people can afford, right? And it's kind of hard coming up with a price. It's hard to value yourself and put a dollar amount on yourself. It is.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
I could imagine.
Yeah, I've always had a hard time with that.
Yeah. Well, and on top of it, are you going to be offering them kits? When a lot of people take their trainings or do their trainings, they get kits as well. So it's not just the service. You've also got to be thinking about the value that you're adding within that training as well.
Yeah.
Are you giving them a machine? Are you giving them pigments to start off with?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think kits, I think you can keep it simple. Like this year, all my eyeliner class, I didn't do kits. So I could keep my price down.
Right.
I could, and I've never given a machine, because if I'm going to give a machine, it's going to be the Zion or the Valhalla or the PME. It's going to be a high-end brand name machine. I'm not going to give a $30.
You want them to hit the ground running.
Hell yeah. And I want them to have a badass, damn good machine in their hand, not a cheap little machine with 3 speeds on it. And so I've never given a machine, because then I would have to add quite a few $100, $800,000-$900,000 to the price of my course. And then this year, I was really honest. Look, I'm not giving kits and pigments and goodie bags and all that. I'd rather not have that as a part of my class and keep the price of my class lower, right? Reduce the price of my class.
Right.
And if I don't have to give a bag full of pigments and numbing creams and all that stuff, I can reduce the price of my class a little bit.
Right.
And that's what I chose to do for 2022 and 23. And every single student was absolutely 100% perfect with that. They're fine with that.
Mm-hmm. Because you set that expectation up from the beginning.
Yes. Right.
Right.
Exactly. And some of the feedback that I got was, a lot of the times I don't even use the pigments or the stuff that they even give me.
I've heard that too.
Right. So it can be even a waste of money.
Right.
For the trainer. So just consider that. If you want to keep the prices of your class, a little bit more affordable, while you get up and running, you don't really have to give a kit. I don't think that makes or breaks a class for a student. Just be upfront. And I even explained that. I'm not giving a kit this class, so I'm able to keep the price down a little bit for you. So, and I think it's important that when the student comes, they know exactly what they're getting from the trainer and the class. I mean, every little detail of that class needs to be explained in an info sheet.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And it helps with the presentation.
Right.
It helps with it looking professional, especially if you're a new trainer. That's going to make you look so good to have like a little 1-2 pager on everything that you're teaching. And it gives the student something to go away with. They feel like they got something for that deposit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So you have to teach the procedure in an organized way, and other people can understand it. And I think that starts with a PowerPoint, or Google Doc. What is that called? Google.
Well, they have several. I mean,
yeah,
so you can use
Canva.
Google, you can use Canva, you can use whatever's on Apple.
Exactly. I use PowerPoint, but that's for your theory portion, right? For you to run through the theory portion. My theory portion is about 2 hours, and in your theory portion, you go over needles, you go over movements, you go over the do's and don'ts, you go over map, just go over all the particular details of that procedure, and then turn that into a handout. You just export that into a PDF, download it, and then there's your handout.
Right.
Right. So for them to leave with a good handout, certificate of training.
Oh, that's so important.
It's very important to the student.
Yeah, think about it. It's like a crowning achievement for all that time that they worked away and stressed out the models you had them do. It feels good to have that at the end of it.
No, it does, and a lot of times it's needed because in a lot of states or cities they have to show that they've had so many hours of extracurricular study or classes, and to belong to some of these organizations like the SBCP or the AAM, they have to submit so many hours per year of education and training. So these certificates are very important, and they should be important. They're letters of achievement. And I used to frame all mine and hang them on my wall. I mean, I had one whole wall in my procedure room that was just all certificates. And, my clients would come in and they were very, impressed. They used like to read them all and look at them. And I bought all the same exact frames. And then, you try to hang them up all even and symmetrical and wall of certificates. And I think it's important that your certificate, you put a little bit of time and thought into your certificate. They can't be cheesy and janky. They got to be nice. They got to be nice certificates. So if you're going to do them yourself, do them on Canva. If you don't know how to design, then maybe find someone local that can design a certificate for you.
Yes.
Right? And you can go get them printed out at Office Max or someplace like that. Or if you have a good printer on hand, just get some stock paper. Go to Office Max or on Amazon and buy some like cardstock paper. So they're a little bit thicker. Print them out, right?
Yeah.
Sign them. Because that certificate is very meaningful to the student. And so you want it to be impressive.
Yes.
And that student paid a lot for that certificate and earned that certificate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So sometimes the certificate is a little neglected. I know we're super picky about our certificates here. They look really good. I think they look really good.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, they do. And then you got to think about follow-up support. Once the class is over and the student leaves, are you going to upload them to a Facebook group with all your students, or how are you going to do that? Are you going to do that? And what's the expectation of support? I mean, what if you end up with 20, 30 students, in a year's time? Are you expected to respond immediately? Are they allowed to pick your brain off topic? Like if they came for brows, are they allowed to pick your brain on eyeliner or other things? I mean, don't you think you kind of have to set some limits with that? Because that could get out of hand.
Yeah, you need to set some expectations and limits on what that looks like. If you're doing 30 students a year, then I would hope that you would have some kind of support staff to be able to help you with that. If you're doing it all on your own, yeah, you need to set some strong expectations. And if they can talk off topic, just know that that's an area of opportunity for you to create some more classes and keep on training because you just found another need.
Yeah, right.
Or refer them out to a buddy that you know does really good eyeliner.
Yeah.
That's also training.
Yeah, right. So those are some of the things to think of with the curriculum and the class. Like, everybody likes structure, right?
Yes.
And classes are expensive, you know, $2,000, $2,500, $3,000, $3,500, just depends. But I mean, they're very expensive. And some people put these class prices on their credit cards, right? Some people can't really afford these classes. They are putting them on their credit card. They are going into debt to come to your class. That's reality. So that's how important your class is and how well thought out your class needs to be, right? And like I said, everybody likes structure. So structure, let's say if it's a 2-day class, when we send them our class info sheet, like our class agenda, you know, we explain exactly what they're going to be learning. We explain how it's going to improve them as an artist in that particular area, procedure. And we give the 2-day itinerary, like day 1.
Yes.
10 a.m., like 9 a.m., show up, little networking, introduce each other, light breakfast. 10 a.m., I do my demo, right? From 10 to 12:30, I do my demo. Lunch. And then afternoon from this, you know, 2 to 6, workshop skill building, right?
Yeah, and they like to know that.
Yes.
And it makes them feel more comfortable. It's kind of stressful going to a training and you're working on something that you know that you need some support on, and when you're hands-on in front of a bunch of people and you've got your trainer looking at you the entire time. Yeah. So knowing exactly what you're going to be doing makes it so much more comfortable 100%. For the student.
It does. You know, and then day 2, and day 2 for us is usually model day. Do you know? So yeah, I mean, really, you know, like do a nice bio of the class, like what they'll be learning, itinerary on day 1, day 2, and how those days are going to flow. And how they're going to be spending their time, you know, PowerPoint, handout, you know, all that stuff, support, you know. And then I think probably the hardest part of training, people always ask me, what is the hardest part of training? And for me, it's always the models. Dealing with models, man, that can make you not want to do classes, is the models, right? So let's talk about that for a minute. We even sometimes have some classes we find models really easy. And some classes it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, where are all the models? Yeah. And it can be really super hard. Or a model books, and we charge a $150 model fee, and they won't show up. And that $150 is non-refundable. Right. We tell them that is non-refundable. You don't show up, you're not getting your money back. Right? And sometimes they don't show up, and they never call to get their money back.
Of course not,
because they know they're not gonna. Oh, yeah. But so you have to plan for that.
Yes.
You have to plan for that. And I think the most important thing about being a trainer is a good student contract agreement, a training agreement. Don't ever, ever, ever accept a student without a contract.
I agree completely.
Yes.
And that goes back to expectations, right? They're signing an agreement that they understand what the training is, what they're going into, and what your expectations as an instructor are, but it protects both you and the student.
Right. 100%, especially when it comes to models.
Yes.
Because what if, you know, this is supposed to be a hands-on class, and you have 2 students and 2 models don't show up.
Right.
I mean, do the students get their money back?
No, absolutely not, because that was a measure outside of your control. But I could see from a student's perspective how they might be a little peeved if that wasn't set up
right
at the beginning.
Right, exactly. Right. But that's the importance of a student
Yes.
training contract is you got to have a clause in there about models. That it is, you know, you cannot predict if a model is going to cancel last minute or no show. That is beyond your control. And if that happens, you know, there's no refund, right? So you so trainers have to be ready to improvise if that happens. Not if that happens, when it happens,
right?
Because it happens.
Yes,
so that for me, that's the most stressful part of training. Not the class, not working with the students, not none of that. It's the models, whether they're going to show or not. That's all. That always gives me like a ton of anxiety. Yeah, usually a couple of days before the class, I'm like riddled with anxiety, like just like praying to God like they show up.